Welcome to SST College of Arts and Commerce. This is SST Edupedia. Myself, Professor Madhu Tirthani. Today we are going to take one of the important topic in auditing, which is useful for FYBAF Sem 2 as well as in SYBCom Sem 4. The topic name is Verification and Valuation of Assets and Liabilities. Part 1. Today we are going to discuss only the verification of assets. In the next session, we are going to discuss relating to the liabilities. But before going for the verification of assets, what is the meaning of verification? Verification is nothing but an inquiry into the value, ownership, title, existence, possession and the presence of any charge of the asset. This is nothing but we are verifying it whether the asset exists or not. What is the market value of that asset? Who is the owner in whose name the asset is there? And where any kind of security or the pledge or the hypothecation has been taken place against that asset. We are going to check it out. Here the auditor examines the assets and liabilities to check the values, ownership, title deed, existence and possessions to see whether that asset is free from any charge or it has been pledged or as given as a security in the form of a loan. What are the objectives of verification? Why the auditor carry out this verification process? To know whether the balance sheet exhibit a true and a fair view, or you can say that whether the balance sheet shows the true financial position of the business or not. To find out whether the assets which has been shown in the balance sheet are exist or not. To find out in whose name the assets are been there. It is in the name of the company or it is in the name of the director or someone else. To show the correct valuation of assets and liabilities. Normally, whenever we are recording the assets, we show both the value, the market value as well as the book value. To verify the arithmetical accuracy in the books of accounts. And to ensure that the assets has been properly recorded. To detect the fraud and errors if there. To find out whether there is an adequate internal control regarding to acquisition, utilization and the disposal of assets. This means that if any of the asset has been sold in the middle of the year, it has been properly recorded or not. To find out whether there is a proper classification of assets and liabilities, because there are certain like fixed assets, intangible assets, tangible assets. Then current assets. Current assets consist of two parts, quick assets, non-quick assets. Liabilities also have various bifurcation. It should be shown in a proper way as per the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. But what is the difference between vouching and verification? See, verification is an act of checking the title, possession and the value of assets. Whereas vouching is an act of checking the records with the help of the documents. Vouching is nothing but the daily expenses which we are going to pay or the daily income which we are having. It is recorded in the form of a voucher, and the person whom we are going to pay, we get a signature from that person. Nature. Verification is especially related to the assets and liabilities, whereas vouching is related to the daily transactions or related to the accounting documents. Person. Assistant staff or auditor perform the work of vouching, whereas auditor himself perform the work of verification. Time. Vouching is made at the beginning of the auditing, but verification is made at the end of auditing. We can say that vouching is on a daily basis, whereas the verification is done at the end when the balance sheet has been prepared. Then only the auditor do it. What is the purpose of verification? Verification of assets consists of what? Verification of asset. For example, if we take any kind of an asset like plant and machinery, the value of that plant and machinery in the market, the ownership, in whose name the asset has been owned, title, existence, whether that asset is there or not, possession, in whose possession the asset is, that is, it may be used by some other person for the benefit of the organization, but we should know in whose ownership or in whose possession the asset is. There are certain steps involved in verification. Comparing. We compare the verification. In verification, we are comparing our assets and liabilities from the last year balance sheet also. Verified. What is the last year value and what is the today in the market value of that assets or liabilities? Inquiring. Suppose in the last year balance sheet it shows land and building, but in this year balance sheet is not been shown. Then the auditor, it is a duty of the auditor to inquire where that land and building, whether it has been sold. If it has been sold, what about the amount which we have received, whether it has been deposited in the bank or not? We ensure it that whatever the assets has been mentioned in the balance sheet, is it in the name of the company only. Satisfying also. Satisfied results we should get after verification. Objectives of asset verification. Existence of the asset is important. Sometimes we are showing number of assets, but it is not been exist at all. Ownership. In whose ownership? In whose name the asset has been owned. Actual or constructive purposes. Whatever the assets which we are using, it should be used for the constructive purposes of the organization. We have to verify it. Proper accounting treatment should be given. That is, the assets should be valued at a book value only. It should be properly classified also. Balance sheet exhibit a true and fair view, free from all the charges, pledge and hypothecation. That is, we should know whether that assets has been pledged or given as a security. It should be free from that charges. There are certain examples when we are verifying it. Suppose if we are the auditor, what are the points we should be considered while auditing plant and machinery or motor vehicle or furniture and fitting, loose tools, leasehold premises or freehold premises. First, we will discuss in details relating to the plant and machinery. As an auditor of the company, he should get the detailed list of plant and machineries, whatever the plant and machineries that company has been owned, and how much depreciation has been charged till now. He should trace the opening balance in the plant and machinery with the help of the last year's audited statement. He should verify the quotation, invoices, cost, etc. in connection with the purchase of plant and machinery during the year. If there is any kind of a sale of plant and machinery in the audit period, he should verify the invoice to that effect. He should check. As per the board resolutions, the purchase of the plant and machinery has been means the board of directors should pass certain resolutions also at the time of purchase of assets. If any machine is disposed of or sold as a scrap, he should check where the amount has been recorded and where the amount has been deposited and for what purpose that amount has been used. He should check the rate and calculate the depreciation and ensure that the provision of 205 of the Companies Act has been followed. He should check whether the related expenses incurred for the purchase of machinery are being capitalized. He should check whether the proper accounting of profit earned or loss suffered at the time of sale of asset has been recorded. If any machine is manufactured by the client itself, auditor should verify the capitalization of material, labor and other expenses that has been properly disclosed. He should scan the plant register and physically inspect some of the major plants by visiting to the work site. He has a right to visit the work sites. He should finally ensure the appropriate disclosure of all the information on the balance sheet as required by the Companies Act. He should obtain the certificate from the local auditor to that effect if the plant and machinery has been kept abroad at a distant place. Second example is of freehold property. What is the meaning of freehold property? It refers to the land and building which has been absolutely the property of the business. It has been used for the business purposes only. He should see that the freehold property and building are shown separately and has been not mixed with the leasehold or the other assets. That means a proper bifurcation of the freehold, land and building should be there in the balance sheet. He should see that the separate account for the land and for the building are mentioned because on land usually no depreciation is provided. He should see that the balance sheet of the company is directly traceable from the respective ledger accounts. He should examine the title deeds of the property and see that the asset is in the name of the client and it is free and fair possession of the client only. He should examine the title deed of the freehold property is genuine. The purchase during the year to be examined which are related, correspondent, broker note, auditor's notes also. In case of construction of a building, auditor should examine the various certificates like builder certificate, contractor certificate, architect certificate, local authority certificates, whatever is needed. He should verify the sale if the part of the property has been sold during the period when audit. He should obtain a certificate from the mortgage if the property has been mortgaged and the deeds of the mortgagee to verify the property. Title deed is in the name of the client. Land is not subject to the depreciation, but see that the proper depreciation is provided on the building as per the provision of 205 of the Companies Act 1956. The third example is leasehold property. Actually, it is not owned by the business but acquired by the business for the fixed period on lease. He should see that the leasehold property account is separately maintained in the books. See that the property is in the possession of the client. Examine the lease deed to find out its value and period. See that the lease deed is properly registered with the registrar. Because a lease exceeding 1 year is invalid unless and until it is granted by the registered document. That means a franking or notary sign should be required at the time of purchasing any kind of a property on lease. See whether the sublease is valid as per the sublease agreement. That means sublease refers that we are acquiring the property on the lease, and afterwards if we are not having the use much more, we are giving another person on lease. That is a sublease. In case it is granted by the referring lease agreement. Ascertain those conditions that might failure or result to the forfeiture or the cancellation of lease and see whether they have been compiled or not. Whatever the lease rent and the other expenses like insurance has been properly paid or not. In case of any provisions is required to be made, the payment receipts should be maintained by the company or not. Now the next set of fourth example is of motor vehicle. Ensure whether the concern is maintaining the proper and the separate register. Check whether the opening balance has been properly recorded in the register or not. Check whether any kind of an entry regarding to the new purchase or the sale of old vehicle has been properly recorded or not. Check up various documents such as agreement, invoice bill, orders, authorization relevant to the purchase and sales. Check the auctioneer's statement, valuer report in case of sale of vehicle as scrap. See the profit earned or loss suffered on sale is properly accounted or not. Verify whether the fair depreciation of vehicle is provided or not. We have to check the registration and the license of all the vehicles should be there, and it should be audited by the auditor. We should verify it physically all the vehicles by inspecting the register number. We have to check the RC book should be kept on any vehicle and it should be in the name of the lender. We have to check whether the proper insurance of the vehicles are paid or not. Thank you for listening me very patiently. In the next session, we are going to discuss relating to the verification of liability. Thank you very much.